The arguably biggest surprise during Microsoft's E3 press conference was the addition of 5 new studios to Microsoft's first-party network. As I pointed out in my most recent video, the Xbox One stands for one of the weakest and most disappointing exclusive lineups in console history. Microsoft's sudden and aggressive expansion of its first-party network is a direct reaction to the harsh criticism against the Xbox One's poor exclusive portfolio in comparison to the PS4. While my last video was focused on the past and present of the Sony and Microsoft exclusive war, this video is all about the future. More and more rumors regarding the next console generation are beginning to surface. It's fair to say that the life cycles of PS4 and Xbox One are coming to an end. Sony completely dominated this console generation, especially in terms of exclusive games. The next console generation represents a fresh start for the Xbox brand. Microsoft has to find a way to close the massive gap between Xbox and PlayStation. In order to remain a serious competitor in the console market, Microsoft is finally showing respectable efforts to solve one of its biggest problems. A problem that existed since the inception of the competitive battle between PlayStation and Xbox. Sony always had at least twice as many first-party studios, and we could even include all the profitable second-party relationships that resulted in high-quality exclusives for Sony's platform. In both cases, Microsoft lags far behind. But why has Sony so many talented first-party studios in the first place? Roughly speaking, it comes down to 2 reasons: compensating for lost PlayStation exclusive franchises that turned multi-platform, and doing damage control for the devastating PS3 console launch. As more and more iconic franchises like Final Fantasy, Tomb Raider and Metal Gear Solid started to become multi-platform titles, Sony needed to fill the gap with high-quality exclusives of its own. In order to have a guaranteed output of high-quality AAA exclusives, without the constant fear of publishers deciding to expand the reach of their franchise to other platforms, Sony decided to create a network of in-house studios. Sony was forced to put even more emphasis on the production of exclusives when Microsoft became the new industry leader during the Xbox 360 era. The main reason why the PS3 was home to so many amazing exclusives, from high-caliber AAA spectacles like Uncharted to small indie darlings like Journey, is due to the fact that Sony was fighting an uphill battle and it had to find a way to win people over. Because of vanishing exclusive franchises and the pressure to regain a foothold in the console market, Sony developed an enormous first-party network, and PlayStation fans have been profiting from it ever since. Because the number of Microsoft first-party studios always was incredibly small in relation to Sony's studio network, the Xbox exclusive library is mostly restricted to the holy trinity of Halo, Gears and Forza. Despite first major criticisms and signs of fatigue, all 3 franchises are safe financial investments. From a business standpoint, investing in old, established and profitable brands makes perfect sense. But when all your first-party studios are developing the same game over and over again, and second-party exclusives never work out as planned, you got no resources left to create fresh new IPs. Without a healthy mixture of established franchises and new IPs, which could turn into brand new beloved franchises, the exclusive lineup of a console becomes stagnant and people slowly but surely begin to lose interest. If you already know Halo, Gears and Forza are all you can hope for, it gets difficult to be excited. That's a problem Sony never really faced, and this console generation is the prime example. One half of Sony's first-party developers are continuing their work on iconic PlayStation franchises like Uncharted, God of War, Gran Turismo and Last of Us, while the second half, the half Microsoft was missing for the longest time, are moving on to new projects, keeping the exclusive lineup diverse and interesting as a result. There's no Xbox One equivalent to Horizon Zero Dawn, Ghost of Tsushima, Last Guardian, Dreams or Days Gone, because Microsoft doesn't have the same amount of first-party developers. There is no Xbox One equivalent to games like Bloodborne, Spider-Man, Ratchet & Clank, Death Stranding, Detroit Become Human or Until Dawn, because Microsoft's second-party relationships aren't as vast and are often doomed to fail. This massive imbalance always existed, but due to the fact that the PS4 is selling twice as many units as the Xbox One, and even the Nintendo Switch has turned into a runaway success, a greatly improved first-party network has never been more urgent than now. But if Phil Spencer is to be believed, Microsoft intends to finally catch up and even more, build an industry-leading first-party network, which appears to be a direct challenge to Sony since it's undeniable that Sony currently holds this title.
We are committed to building an industry-leading first-party studios organization.
How does he intend to do so? Well, by using Microsoft's most valuable asset, money. Because Sony is doing so well in the console market, people tend to forget that the company at large only recently recovered from a financial low point. Sony's gaming division is dominating the entire market, however, the same cannot be said about Sony as a whole. Building world-class studios from the ground up is a great risk and takes time. But the next console generation is on the horizon, which means time is a scarce commodity right now. Like most of us expected, Microsoft simply bought the talent it was missing in order to solve the lack of exclusive games as soon as possible. Phil Spencer came out swinging when he announced that 5 new studios have been added to the first-party network. For the first time in history, Microsoft and Sony now have roughly the same amount of first-party studios at their disposal. Sony's first-party network currently features 11 studios: Sony Bench, Guerrilla Games, Japan Studio, London Studio, Media Molecule, Naughty Dog, Pixel Opus, Polyphony Digital, San Diego Studio, Sony Santa Monica and Sucker Punch. Microsoft Studios, on the other hand, is now 10 studios strong. 343 Industries, Mojang, I don't know how it's pronounced actually, The Coalition, Rare, Turn 10 Studios, including the new family members, The Initiative, Undead Labs, Ninja Theory, Playground Games and Compulsion Games. The number of Microsoft and Sony first-party studios is now officially identical, plus minus 1 studio. But I think it's fair to say most people value quality over quantity. Microsoft may have the same number of first-party developers. What remains to be seen is whether Microsoft's newly acquired studios can match the quality standards of Sony's first-party network. Can Microsoft Studios challenge the insane quality bar studios like Santa Monica, Naughty Dog, Guerrilla Games and Sucker Punch are known for? Ultimately, quality will be the deciding factor. One time Phil Spencer flat out admitted that the timed exclusivity of Rise of the Tomb Raider was Microsoft's only way to compete with Uncharted. According to Spencer, they always wanted to have an adventure game of that quality, but their internal studios weren't able to reach the same quality level. So how promising are Microsoft's newest acquisitions in that regard? If you ask me, it's a mixed bag. Let's start with Playground Games. The British developer is known for the Forza Horizon series. From all studio acquisitions, this one is the least surprising. Technically, nothing really changed. In practice, Playground Games was already comparable to a first-party developer, since Forza is all the studio has ever done. I guess this is why so many people confuse Quantic Dream with a first-party studio. Quantic Dream is not owned by Sony, but for over a decade now the French studio has developed games exclusively for PlayStation. So the fact that Playground Games is now a first-party studio on paper isn't particularly astonishing. What has Xbox fans very excited though is the potential return of the Fable franchise under the creative lead of Playground Games. After all, Phil Spencer mentioned that Playground will bring its open-world expertise to an entirely new project.
Not only will Playground Games continue to work on Forza Horizon, they're bringing their open-world expertise to an entirely new project.
We have to wait for official confirmation, but a new Fable game is the safest bet. The two bad apples in the group are Undead Labs and Compulsion Games. That's where the quality aspect comes into play. Both studios have yet to deliver a game that's more than mediocre. Undead Labs is responsible for two insanely buggy zombie survival games. State of Decay does have its charm, but I don't see people jump off their seats at E3 when the name Undead Labs appears on the screen. If review scores are anything to go by, State of Decay 2 was fairly underwhelming and far from a must-have exclusive title. I'm afraid Compulsion Games is even more irrelevant. Full disclosure, I've not played We Happy Few, but the game doesn't seem to live up to its interesting premise. Comparable to State of Decay 2, review scores are mediocre, and if people like Jim Sterling are to be believed, the game is a buggy, unpolished dumpster fire.
I can't believe that it was released in this state, this utter, appalling state. It's jaw-droppingly, embarrassingly, humiliatingly awful. It makes many other bad games. It makes legendarily bad games like Road to Hell Retribution look positively brilliant. Yes, it's that bloody broken. Every single quest in this game has some sort of glitch to it.
You only get one first impression, and Compulsion Games pretty much blew it. As it stands right now, you would need 10 Compulsion Games to compensate for one Sucker Punch or Guerrilla Games. Of course, Microsoft's financial backup could improve the future games of Undead Labs and Compulsion Games. However, at this point that's only speculation. The most promising additions to Microsoft's first-party network are definitely Ninja Theory and The Initiative. Especially the acquisition of Ninja Theory was something I didn't see coming. If you've followed my channel for a while, then you know that Ninja Theory is one of my favorite developers. I hold games like Enslaved and Hellblade in high regards. Ninja Theory is one of the few studios out there that knows how to create captivating and unique single-player experiences. In my opinion, Hellblade is their greatest triumph yet. Unfortunately, I have conflicting feelings about Ninja Theory's addition to Microsoft Studios. On the one hand, Microsoft finally added a talented single-player developer. On the other hand, I'm absolutely frightened by the prospect that Ninja Theory could end up like Rare under Microsoft's leadership. Phil Spencer keeps referring to Rare as a legendary game developer, but in reality it's nothing but a shadow of its former self. The days of Battletoads and Donkey Kong are long gone. Since Microsoft got its grip on the studio, Rare's name is synonymous with shitty Kinect games and the huge disappointment that is Sea of Thieves. My only hope is that Phil Spencer wants to shut up people like me, people who are complaining about the fact that Xbox is missing games on the caliber of Last of Us or God of War. In the future, he could simply point to the new Ninja Theory exclusive whenever he is asked, where's your narrative-driven single-player game? The Initiative is the only studio Microsoft is building from the ground up. Like many iconic Sony first-party developers, the studio is based in Santa Monica. The Initiative is led by Daryl Gallagher, former studio head at Crystal Dynamics and key person behind the reboot of the Tomb Raider series. Funnily enough, the studio is hiring creative talent from Sony Santa Monica, among other developers. I think Xbox fans have every reason to be excited. After all, the Xbox exclusive library is in desperate need of new IPs, and the Initiative can fill that void. Unless they are developing another Halo, Gears or Forza game, which would be fucking hilarious, but I doubt it. I'm not really convinced that Microsoft's first-party network can match the quality standards of Sony's iconic studios. That being said, the next console generation will be the ultimate test for Microsoft's newly acquired developers. One thing is certain, the gap between PlayStation and Xbox exclusives won't be as obvious in the near future because Microsoft is actually willing to put up a fight this time. More high-caliber exclusive games would also enhance the value of services like Xbox Game Pass. However, it's worth keeping in mind that Microsoft is still holding on to the concept of releasing each of its exclusive games on PC. In a worst-case scenario, the expanded first-party network won't be able to make the next Xbox more attractive for the simple reason that everyone who owns a decent PC has no incentive to buy one. Besides, it's not like Sony isn't investing in new first-party studios as well. A couple of months ago, a user on Reset Era spotted a job listing which seemingly confirms that Sony is building an entirely new first-party studio in San Diego. It should be one hell of a fight on the exclusive front once the next console generation hits the market. Another day, another Xbox video. I promise this will be the last Xbox related topic for a while, but I really felt the need to find some closure regarding the whole Xbox One exclusive issue. It's absolutely baffling to me how many people online are neglecting totally obvious facts when it comes to the dreadful Xbox One exclusive library. Anyway, as this video hopefully demonstrated, there is hope for the future. As always, I really want to know what you guys think about all of this. Do you believe Microsoft's newly acquired studios can rival the quality of Sony's internal developers? And do you think the fact that each Xbox exclusive is also available on PC will have a negative impact on the next Xbox console? Thank you guys a lot for watching. Now please excuse me, but in a couple of days I have an important meeting with a famous superhero. #Puddlegate.